Well, hello and welcome to Old People This Week. My name is Jeff, and that gentleman there, the kids in the neighborhood call him Riz because he's got nothing but charisma. That's Mike. Good afternoon, Mike.
Jeff, how you doing? Hi, everyone.
I'm doing just Jim Dandy. Old People This Week is a podcast for sharp-witted people over 60 years of age. If you're under 60 and somehow managed to find your way to this podcast, you can go back to Tinder, TikTok, or Reddit at this moment, or stick around because Mike and I are the smartest old men in America, and you will learn something.
Two smartest guys we know.
Please subscribe. If you subscribe, Mike will come over to your house and bake a double-crusted peach pie that you'll fall in love with, and you'll
With a
want
lattice top. A lattice top. Absolutely. It's critical.
Email us at oldpeoplethisweek@gmail.com. We love your comments, questions. You can talk about anything with us, and we'll give you the benefit of our 150 odd years on this earth. Of course, Mike's been on 100 of those.
Quite a bit longer. Quite a bit longer, but that's why I'm smarter and better looking. And I have better hair.
Oh, jeez, that's debatable. Check out our Substack, 52tasks.substack.com. We get a lot of people following us on that Substack. It gives you tasks to do that will make you a better person. First, I wanted to follow up on last week. I asked Mike, what do the following movies have in common? Those movies were Solo, a Star Wars story, Grand Theft Auto, which was made way back in 1977 when Mike was a pup, Rush, Frost Nixon, and The Dilemma, which was a movie with Vince Vaughn who finds out that sees his best friend's wife necking with someone else, and he doesn't know how to tell his best friend, hence The Dilemma.
Wow.
What do those have in common? Well, I'll tell you the answer. The answer was the director, the one, the only, Opie Ron Howard.
Oh my gosh.
He directed all those five movies. Couldn't be more different, but he directed all of them over the years. So we got a correct answer. A guy wrote us. His name is Ozzie24, Ozzie24. Thank you, Ozzie24.
Yeah.
You've won the grand prize. You get to come to happy hour with Mike and I, provided that you make your way to La Quinta, California, to Old Town, to a bar called the Roadrunner, and Mike and I will be there waiting for you at the bar, elbows bent in appreciation.
Holding court.
Yeah, holding court. If you make it there on a Friday between 4 and 6, you'll get a free bottom shelf drink and a free appetizer, as long as that appetizer is either shrimp or calamari, which is what Mike and I eat.
That's what we like.
Happy hour.
And if we like you, Ozzie, if we like you more than, just a walk-in guy, we might go for a top shelf gin.
Now, I don't know if the Aussie means he's Australian, in which case I don't know if I like him. I'm not into Australian men right now watching the Olympics, but of course it could be a woman too.
Yeah.
Then it's okay. Then you might get two appetizers.
Broaden your horizons. Broaden your horizons a little here.
All right, we got two comments as well this past week. One from, it says the name was at Allison Moreland -CS4NM. But Allison Moreland, whoever you are, thank you for writing to us. She said simply, I love your show, guys. The love was spelled L and a bunch of O's and a VE.
What's not to love? What's not to love? I mean,
love his face. That's what
don't show that turkey neck.
And then we got a comment from a guy, his name is at Jake Stewart 7367. And he said, red wine now, Jeff? I thought your order was G&T, your New York bartender. Now, this guy, I do know him.
Busted.
Yeah. So when I was living in New York City, I was working at 33rd and 7th Avenue and living in Hell's Kitchen on 11th and 46th Street. So to get from 7th Avenue and 33rd over there to Hell's Kitchen, I had a whole sort of cool way to get home because I didn't have to be outside. I would duck through buildings and this and that. But on the last part of it was on between 8th and 9th Avenue on 46th Street in New York City, which they call Restaurant Row, and there's a ton of restaurants there. And one of them was called, I think it was called Bar 46. And I would stop there on my way home at night because the bar would be empty because what it was a swing club, meaning people went in there and did swing dancing. There was a big open space in the back, but probably the last big open space you could rent in New York City. And in the front was a bar, and it was always empty up till about 8 or 8:30 when the band would start playing and they'd start dancing. And this Jake was the bartender, and I would go in there and sit with him. The only thing he has wrong is there was no tonic in that gin. Like you don't like to have fruit in your gin. I do not put not put tonic in there to wreck it.
Why would you dilute perfectly good gin? It makes no sense.
It's too sugary too. It's just I don't like the taste of tonic. I never have, so I don't use it. But anyway, that's Jake Stewart. He's a good guy. He moved out of New York City. Now he's got married as a kid. Lives down in North Carolina. He works in television, and he's a good guy.
Oh, cool.
All right, Mike. Start off this week. I want to once more reprimand you.
There we go.
Reprimand you for your poor decision making about going to see motion pictures. It is the worst single experience in America you can have. You're in a dark room with strangers breathing all over you, sitting next to you, eating popcorn and chomping and munching and touching you, and plus you pay all that money, and then the movies suck like you're Clint Eastwood, or not Clint Eastwood. What's his name? Kevin Costner movies. Oh my God! But anyways, I begged you not to go. You went again to see. Well, this summer you went and seen. I've written down ones you've spent money on this summer. Bad Boys, Ride or Die.
Yeah.
That colossal dud Horizon American Saga.
You got to get off my boy Kevin.
The 3-hour disaster, and then you went to see Twisters. What'd you think of it?
Meh. Yeah, it was okay. I mean, I don't get the build up to Glenn Powell that he's not the next Id boy. I mean, they didn't look very hard if that's who they came up with, and it was okay. But there was no plot line. There was no story. It was just some computer generated graphics and you know.
But it's about him. He's sort of the devil may care guy who chases hurricanes around.
Well, yeah, but put me to sleep.
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't.
too bad.
Yeah, it wasn't. It just wasn't a good story. You know.
Well, you should have spent your money and gone to see Deadpool and Wolverine.
And
which
I did. And
you
I
did?
did. I did.
How was that? No?
Well, I'm a Deadpool fan. I mean, I love him. He does a great job at it, but it was just too much. I mean, the first 15 minutes were all computer generated graphics of him slashing and killing and cutting people up and going batshit, and then the rest of the 2 hours and 15 minutes was just more of the same, with everybody dropping F-bombs and nonstop profanity and an absolutely undecipherable plot line. I mean, it was just a real letdown. I mean, and I had very high hopes because I love the whole Deadpool franchise, but it was just a dud, I thought.
What about that dog with the big stupid tongue hanging out of it?
Well,
Isn't that funny?
Reminded me of my ex-wife's mother, but it just
You've been married for 100 years to Mary. How the hell do you have an ex-wife back there sometime?
Oh, there's a story back there.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That is another story. That's for another day.
Another day. But no, it was. But the thing you have to reconcile, you have to come to grips with, along with buying some shirts that have collars. You have to get into a modern movie theater, because the one here is terrific. The big wide lounge seats. There's no one close to you. It's very comfortable. It's totally enjoyable.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to a movie that has any character in it named Wolverine, first of all, because I'm from the great state of Ohio, and we don't even say the name of the state that's to the north of us, let alone go to see a movie that has its mascot in it, Wolverine. Next time, Mike, just take the $20 or whatever you spend on those tickets, come over to my house, give me the money. I'll put you on the couch in front of our 55-inch beautiful Samsung TV. And there's a bathroom there. I'll give you a drink, and that means you won't have to wear your Depends if you're sitting watching a long movie.
3-hour movie.
And I'll make some money. You'll have a better time, and you'll feel better about yourself.
Yeah. See, here's the other indicator of a bad movie versus a terrific 3-hour Western. In the 3-hour Western, I had no idea it was 3 hours, first of all. Never had to get up and go to the bathroom. But in Deadpool, which was significantly shorter, and the same with Twisters, I was up and down the stairs. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's how we're going to rank these movies from now on.
That's right.
Not by a thumbs up or thumb down by stars, just by a sign of the restroom. How many restroom stops do you have to make?
That's right. Raised toilet lids. Yeah, 4.
Yeah, 4 toilet lids.
It's a 4 toilet lid rating.
Oh, jeez. The fact that you lift the lid shows you obviously have been well trained by Mary. Speaking of movies, I watched this movie recently on TV. It was called Licorice Pizza.
Another horrible movie.
No, I thought it was a great movie, but it came out in 2021. Starred this kid named Cooper Hoffman and this girl named Alana Haim, and I liked it. I just thought it was nuts. And it was about that era in the 70s back in the Valley and in the San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles, which was...
Yeah, it was kind of goofy.
Yeah, it was goofy, and the kid was goofy. I mean, he was like a real hustler. He almost like he was clearly like high school age, but he never went to school. He was acting or he was hustling around doing stuff. And one of the things he did in there was he opened a waterbed store.
The waterbed store, yeah.
Yeah, that plot twist on Ventura Boulevard. And somehow he got himself into the situation where he had this waterbed store. But that got to me thinking about waterbeds. And coincidentally, I'd seen this article about the former phenomenon of waterbeds.
Yeah.
And this article said something to the effect of, in 1971, the same year that movie was set in, it was a $13 million business. And then by 1986, or 15 years later, it was worth, the business was up to, $1.9 billion.
Billion, yeah.
Billion.
Did you ever have one?
I was sitting here trying to think and remember if I had one. I know I've slept on them, and I didn't like them in those early days because literally they would roil like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got in and you, like, say you just hopped into the bed, and your partner may go flying out the other side because they would, whoa, see you later.
Yeah, and you'd still be moving 30 minutes later. You'd still be washing back and forth.
And I am, in real life, I prefer really stiff mattresses. So if I go to a mattress store, which we did recently, and Valerie said, "Well, what kind of mattress should we get?" And I said, "Honey, we're getting one that is you could drop a quarter off of it and it would fly up to the ceiling. It's got to be rock
Military.
hard."
Yeah, military grade.
Yeah. And she goes, "Well, maybe we get one that's on one side." I said, "No. We're getting one big square rock, and that's what we're sleeping on."
Oh, you wouldn't spring for the 2 to 1 raises, 1 lowers? No. When you're snoring, she could raise you up and stop you?
She would figure out a way to have it set so that it would flip me out of bed or something.
That was very insensitive of you. We'll make her sleep on a hard mattress.
It's hard. It's rock hard. So the waterbed was invented by this dude named Charles Hall, who was a grad student at San Francisco State. So imagine this. It's the early 70s. This guy's a grad student. and he's about to write his master's thesis in design, and he was trying to make the world's most comfortable chair, and he filled up a plastic sack with gelatin and cornstarch. Now, when I read this, I go, what the hell, cornstarch? What the?
No.
Guy was high or whatever he's doing. So, but after some trial and error, he had his eureka moment, and he came up with an 8-foot square, water-filled mattress that he called the Pleasure Pit. Pleasure Pit. He knew right off the bat what the people. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that prototype that he built was featured in a furniture show at some local hall, and he showed it there, and the word got out what this was, and before you knew it, it was a business. And then, as we said, it went from a tiny little business to a gigantic business. Then between 1986 and now, there's no business. Everybody just stopped buying them. People found them uncomfortable. The weight was too much. The heavy beds are falling through floors. Second floors.
How do you move the damn thing?
And you can't move them.
You
got to empty them out. Costs you $1,000 to fill it up with water. But they're making sort of a comeback. And this story that I read was about a guy down in Westminster, California, which is down in Orange County. And the store is called the Waterbed Doctor. Maybe he's the Waterbed Doctor too. And he's trying to rebrand the waterbed as flotation sleep systems.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they figured out a way to put baffles in the tubes in the waterbed so it wouldn't slosh around so much.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, come on.
Yeah, they did.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't roll off your tongue to say flotation sleep system. Waterbed is, I get it. Waterbed.
Yeah. Jump in.
All right. Anyways, that's the waterbed portion of this show. And what else did you send? Oh, you sent me a picture of Billy Joel, that octogenarian ancient man with scraggly beard, performing at Madison Square Garden, where he was ending his residency.
Yeah.
So I read the article out of respect for you, even though I find Billy Joel to be just horrible.
Well, what a surprise. What a surprise.
He did 104.
You were the crankiest, unforgiving
Piano Man. In a minute, I'll tell you why I don't like him. But so he did a 10-year residency at Madison Square Garden. 10 years. And every month he did a show for 10 years. It turned out to be 104 monthly shows. That's pretty amazing. I'll give him credit for that. That's.
Yeah, and we saw him several times there, because Mary and I used to both have offices in New York, and spent a lot of time there. And the shows were terrific. I mean, to do it that frequently in that big a venue was quite a deal.
Yeah, people loved him back there. He had that New York state of mind. So at this celebration, at the last show, Jimmy Fallon was there, and he announced that they were going to raise a banner up to the top of the Madison Square Garden that's going to commemorate Billy Joel's 150 shows there, most by any artist. Celine Dion sent a tribute, and the thing that got me, though, in some kind of a weird fever dream collaboration, who knows who put this together, Guns N' Roses frontman, the insane, bizarre, weird Axl Rose. He came on stage to perform a duet with Billy Joel. And you know what song they sang together? Not a Billy Joel song. No, not a Guns N' Roses song. They did a cover of Paul McCartney's James Bond theme, Live and Let Die. Live and let die.
No, don't.
Live and let die. Do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do. That was a good song. I can only imagine, but Axl Rose tortured it.
It was before you did it.
Well, I can imagine how Axl Rose how he must have sounded doing that. That dude's voice is gone.
Yeah, no. What an odd song. I mean, that's crazy.
But they did that, and they did another song evidently. The thing I have against Billy Joel is that he was stupid enough to divorce Christy Brinkley.
Yeah, that was not a smart move.
No, she is literally the hottest woman over 60 years of age. You and I follow her. Old people this week follow her on Instagram,
Yeah.
and she is gorgeous still at her age. And why the hell, Uptown Girl? He got rid of her, dumped her like a fool, and that's why I don't like him. He's stupid.
Yeah.
I was thinking, by the way, of women over 60 who are very still got it, and I, was looking around and I found it. Jacqueline Smith. Do you remember her?
Sure. Charlie's
She's still,
Angels.
yeah, she looks great.
Yeah.
And Gillian Anderson, who was in the X-Files.
Yeah, but she's British, right? Not that I mean, she's still 60 years old. But
I think she is British.
yeah.
And but at any rate, but she looks great still. After that, by the way, the list gets kind of shaky.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of, she's not 60, by the way, but back to Deadpool for a minute. Jennifer Garner had a cameo in it, and she looked terrific. Really.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, best thing for her was shedding that idiot Affleck.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because he's about, he's already, his marriage to J-Lo is going down the drain. He's just going to be an old, tired old man here in a minute.
Yeah. He's going to get tired of buying her Rolls Royces.
And big rings, lots of jewelry. All right, the next story is that you need to know for this weekend because you want to talk about this at happy hour. Though I have to tell you, I read this story and at first I was goofing on it, and then I decided that it's too easy. And this is the story of Blind Barbie.
Oh, please.
You sent me this article. So Mattel released the Blind Barbie in design in partnership with the American Federation of the Blind. The doll comes in a pink box with Braille lettering, comes with a red and white cane with a marshmallow roller tip and sunglasses suited for light-sensitive eyes. And the clothes were made with tactical satisfaction in mind for the blind and low vision children. And up to this point, I was like, oh my God, I couldn't take it. But I read but then there was part of the article was they interviewed a mom of a blind girl. And when you hear her talk about what a blessing this is to have a doll like this for her daughter, then it's hard to goof on it too much because she made it sound like it's something that just revelatory to her daughter, and that's good. You could release a Mike and Jeff Barbies. Will be two Kens, the two old Kens.
Mine will have the better hair.
Oh my God, your hair. Maybe they'd have it so that they could put a new head on you.
Look at that hair. Look at that hair.
Oh, jeez.
Perfectly coiffed.
I'd pay $50 to have Mary tape you, doing your own hair, which you do. Which
You
I
know
think
what?
is also,
That would be a huge hit on TikTok.
well, bring it. Have Mary take a video of it, and I'll take a video of myself getting my haircut from my professional dude named Michael.
That's a professional job? Oh my goodness. What maybe he's got a blind Barbie that he works with.
He's blind when I do my hair.
Women used to tease their hair to get it to be fuller and stand up a little. You look like you just pissed yours off.
Mine looks like it got electrocuted.
Yeah, dropped your toaster in the bathtub or something.
All right. You brought up this thing where people were. I'm going to say young people. I don't like saying it. I'd rather say that anything that's not a boomer, that's younger than us. I don't know what to call them. Gen X, Gen Z, all that. I just call them all millennials, anyways. But they use terminology of their own slang, like we did in our generation.
Yeah.
And the one this summer that you pointed out was that word brat and how it's being used.
Yeah.
And it means awesome. And
Or living your own life at its best,
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, that, and
Yeah.
right. So the Brat comes from the title of an album
Yeah.
by an artist named Charlie CXC, right?
Yes.
Or is it XCX?
Does it matter?
Yeah, it's XCX.
It doesn't matter.
Charlie, sorry, Charlie. Anyway, but Charlie had made this album, and it came out, and it was called Brat just a few months ago, and it has a bunch of hits on there. I went on YouTube, watched the songs. They, I mean, to me, they all sound the same, anyways, because they're. But she's energetic and vibrant and funny and sexy, and she's great. And the title of her album became. Brat became now used to describe this kind of woman, but it also entails this color, and it was
lime
on the
green. Yeah.
Well, don't call it lime green. They don't call it lime green. But here's the color.
Yeah. Full page in the New York Times.
Full page on the cover of the style section of the New York Times. You can't escape this color. This is not millennial pink. The energy behind it is alive, and that is color on which the word Brat using an Arial font is printed. That's the cover of the album, and that became this phenomenon of what a Brat is. So if anyone asks you, if you're our age and you're sitting around a bar this weekend and somebody says, "You're Brat," you'll know why they called you that now. It's like, what was the other word you came up with? Oh yeah, slay.
Slay.
Like if you see a Ferrari and you say slay, it's not that Ferrari slay, it's just slay.
Yeah.
That's why I called you Riz, by the way, at the top of this, because
I have charisma.
that's a new.
That's where Riz comes from. That'll teach you.
I'll tell you who does not have Riz, or he have any brains, is this next guy we talked about, who the title says everything. And for people like us who live out in the desert, this is extremely funny.
This story, this story, when I first read it, it was like, really?
Yeah, really. And the title is, drum roll please, Man Who Lost Flip-Flops in Death Valley Hospitalized. So, Death Valley, by the way, we don't live near Death Valley. Death Valley is another desert in California that's northeast of us, but it is called Death Valley for a reason. It's one of the hottest places on Earth, and the air temperature that weekend when this man who lost his flip-flops was there, the temperature was 123 degrees Fahrenheit. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is enough to, fry an egg on the ground with. It's just, that's hot.
It's really hot. And the sand is much hotter than that.
Yeah.
It's 120 air temperature. The sand is like 160.
Yeah. So this dude, first of all, he's from Belgium. And he's visiting Death Valley National Park. Now, you would think, even if you're from Belgium, you would know that if something is, the name of it is Death Valley, that you should be kind of wary before you go there. And he discovered he had to be rescued by a helicopter this past Saturday after suffering third-degree burns on the soles of his feet at the Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes. I have these pictures here you're probably seeing of the Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes, and that's all it is. It's 100 miles in each direction of yellow sand dunes, on which the sand is probably 150 degrees.
Yeah.
And this fool goes out there in flip-flops that he loses somehow, and then he tries walking on his bare feet, and of course he doesn't make it. He burns the hell out of his feet. His family and other guests at the park had to carry him to a parking lot. The rangers took one look at his burnt-off feet and decided that this was pretty severe and had to airlift him out of the park to Las Vegas. Of all places.
It's just beyond. Can you imagine, first of all, walking in flip-flops is hard enough, walking down the sidewalk. Can you imagine trying to walk in sand? And flip-flops? I mean,
wonder
that's why
what-
you take them off when you're at the beach. You take them off.
Yeah. Now, I get there. People, who are not, let me put it this way, when you're not used to, or you're enthusiastic about being out in the heat, you'll make mistakes.
Yeah.
My friends and I decided to go to Daytona Beach, Florida, from Bowling Green, Ohio, for spring break in the spring of 1971. We jumped into a car in northern Ohio and drove 24 hours straight. So you go through Ohio, then a corner of West Virginia, Kentucky, then you make your way through Georgia, and then you get down to Florida, and then down into Daytona. And we're all alabaster white from spending the winter in Ohio and not seen any light for months and months and months. And we jump out of the car in Daytona Beach. There's about 3 or 4 girls and 4 or 5 guys. We jump out the car, immediately get into our bathing suits, and hit the beach.
Oh, brother.
2.5 hours later, 3 of us are in the hospital.
Hospital.
Yeah. From just sunburnt so badly that we're red, and nobody can touch
can't
you.
move.
And the girls were in tears. It was horrible,
Oh,
and that sort of ruined the vacation because that's not going away quick.
And then you have to all crowd into the car and drive home with your sunburns.
It was horrible. It was horrible. You couldn't sleep. You couldn't do anything. You didn't want to do anything but get drunk, and
Oh, God.
it was just like that. But so I get it. You get enthusiastic and you make mistakes.
Yeah,
But even
no-
that.
No shoes in the desert. I mean,
Yeah,
come
no shoes
on.
in the desert. That's it.
That
That's it.
just doesn't work. What kind
That's
of
it.
car did you drive to Florida?
One year we drove in this guy's like Datsun. But the thing about the story was with this Datsun was his name was Scott, and we got down there. This was a year or two later, and it was just 3 of us. There was me and Scott and his girlfriend. I was the third wheel. Of course, by the way, we get
You were
down
the
there.
driver.
We get down there, and we're down there a day, and the girl breaks up with him down there.
Oh, no.
And then in Daytona, the tourist draw of Daytona is that you can drive on the beach.
On the beach, yeah.
And Scott left his car sitting on the beach. We went drinking, and guess what?
It got towed.
pulled. Yeah, no, it got pulled out into the water.
Oh,
And then the cops had to come and the tow truck and to pull it out of the surf.
oh,
And
gee.
then this sad sack Scott is calling his mom and dad to tell him that his car was waterlogged and they needed to send him some money so he could get home. So he lost the car, lost his girlfriend, lost his money. Oh, it was a horrible trip.
How'd she get home?
No, she left him. When she left him, she went with some other guy.
Oh, my gosh. Oh,
So Scott got pissed off, and when she left, she just left the hotel room that they were staying in, and went with this other group of people.
oh, my
So, but she made the mistake of leaving behind her suitcase.
oh,
So a pissed off Scott drove over to the hotel where she had gone, and beeping the horn until he thought that she was looking out the window of the room that she was in, and takes the suitcase out and then proceeds to run over it about 10 times. We're 20 years old. We didn't know anything. He's just a pissed off, jealous, upset. And this is, he had the worst trip ever.
I love it. That probably was high theater for everybody on that side of the hotel, standing in their balconies.
Well, the guy that she left Scott for, started running down because he was going to catch up with Scott and kick the shit out of him. But Scott, after he runs over the clothes one last time, drives off down the street. Well, he had left some of the clothes that were still in the front seat, so you see Scott driving down the street, and out the window, his hand comes out throwing clothes out left and right. And she was pissed at him after that because he wrecked all her clothes and she didn't have anything left. The whole trip was a disaster. And I barely made it home. He had to get money, and then I had to help him get money. I had to call my mom and ask for money. We thought we were going to have to take a bus home from Florida, which would have been just terrible. and we somehow got the car fixed up enough to make it home. What a sad, pathetic person I was back then. All right. We have two weird stories. Like that one wasn't weird.
I was gonna say, where do we go from no shoes in the desert?
And down to Daytona Beach with my red lobster body, and with Scott, and chasing around, throwing his girlfriend's stuff out of the window. That was a real that Daytona Beach in those days was just. It was just. I don't even know how to describe it to modern times, when there's 100,000 kids from basically all the Midwestern states, Ohio,
Yeah.
Michigan, Indiana, Pennsylvania, all, like I said, white as ghosts, all flooding into Florida for 2 weeks. It was bacchanalia. It was just nuts.
Well, they finally had to crack down on it here in the past few years. They've curfewed and regulated where automobiles can be, and I mean they've really tried to shut it down.
Yeah, that's because those spring breaks got to the point where they were just tearing up the towns.
Yeah.
Out here, they do it in Palm Springs. I think all the Los Angeles area college kids come out to the desert and go berserk,
Yeah.
tear up Palm Springs and Palm Desert out there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the last two stories. The first one was, again, the headline says it all. Video shows fish falling from the sky, smashing Tesla window on Jersey Shore. So this couple come home, and their Tesla's parked in the driveway, and it's got a smashed windshield. And then the car alarm's beeping away. They run out there, and there's this windows just smashed, and there's there's traces of blood and fish scales. So they go, if there's blood and fish scales, there must be a fish somewhere. They look around, and in the garage door is open, and in the garage, laying on the ground in the garage was what kind of fish was it? It was a 1 pound bluefish on the garage floor. The most logical explanation was that a bird fished it out of the water, tried to carry it, and then dropped it, and it landed on their Tesla.
Yeah, she said she saw claw marks in the fish.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So they're dead. Yeah. So that's what happened. That thing must have fallen like a shell. I mean, you don't want to get hit on the head by some fish like that.
Well,
that
no,
cracks open a Tesla windshield.
Windshield, yeah. That would have put you down.
How do you explain that to your insurance company?
Insurance guy.
Yeah.
What happened to your windshield, Bob? Well, this fish came flying out of nowhere.
Well, they did. They said on their house they have a camera. They didn't see anything, but they said the Tesla dash cam showed the thing hitting it.
Caught it, yeah.
So I would send that video over to my insurance agent and say,
Am I covered?
we covered for fish smashing our windshield? Oh, man. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't.
They aren't. Yeah.
I doubt if you are, by the way.
Bird drops. Yeah, it's a bird drop.
And our last story, of course, is set in the great state of Florida. And again, the headline, you don't need to go much further than this. A Florida man is in jail after crashing his car into the jail. So in Martin County, wherever that's at, this said that this guy, whose name is Joseph Leedy, who was half naked, I wonder which half was naked, by the way, and acting erratically, drove his car through the jail parking lot, up the walkway, and through the glass lobby doors of the jail facility in Jupiter, Florida. They go, our cameras and correctional officers inside saw the vehicle enter the lobby. They came out and they were confronted by the suspect. After he crashed through the doors, Leedy threw rubber gloves. Wait, I have to start all over again because this is After he crashed through the doors, Leedy threw rubber snakes and a cell phone onto the ground and doused his vehicle with motor oil while being half naked from the waist down. You ask that question, what
Oh, there
happened
we
from
go.
the waist down? So the
There we
dude
go.
is half naked, the Johnson hanging out. He drives into a police station, literally into a police station, climbs out, throws a bunch of rubber snakes and his cell phone on the ground, then starts rubbing his vehicle in motor oil.
There's more of a story here than just crashing into the police station. What's a
Nut.
what's a half-naked man doing with a can of motor oil and rubber snakes? That's the story.
It's a porn movie.
That's
But whatever it is, what a nutcase. All these guys, at the bottom of it, they're either on meth or they're dead drunk.
yeah.
One more reason. Every week we come up with one more reason never to go to this great state of Florida. All right. Anyways, that's the show for this week. Now, you who were listening have all the information and stories, dirt, gossip, and everything else you need to know heading into the weekend so you'll sound smart when you're hanging out. Please subscribe. If you subscribe, Mike will bring a double-crusted peach pie with a lattice top to your home, and you will love it. They sell his pies at Costco. They're so famous.
Whole section.
of it.
Yeah, you do have to pay my airfare though, and I only fly first class.
Well, what about, you going to bring the pie with you, or are you going to make it when you get there?
No, I hand carry it. It's hand delivered.
That's good.
That's why the first class airfare.
You have to carry it onto the airplane. And you have to make sure, knowing you'd have a thing by the time that you got there.
Half
Or
of
the
that.
big bite marks out of it.
Peaches drooling down my chin.
Hey, my name's Mike. I'm here with your pie. Please email us, oldpeoplethisweek@gmail.com. We take on all questions and comments, even about that lousy-looking shirt Mike's got on there. You wish you could wear a tight-fitting, masculine-looking T-shirt like this. You have to cover up in that big baggy thing that you're wearing.
You look like you're on work release from the Bewildered Boys School. That's a bad uniform T-shirt.
This is the Gap. You don't even know the Gap. You ever heard of the Gap? 1999 at the Gap.
Yeah.
And check out our Substack at 52tasks.substack.com. There is a task for you to perform this week and to make you a better person. I'm going to close this show off with I got a phone call from my son, or my wife did actually, because I think I don't know what I would have said if the phone call came to me, but part of this conversation he had with my wife, my son, who's 27 years old, lives in Savannah, Georgia, and I'm waiting to the end of this podcast to tell this story because I know him. If he listens to this podcast at all, he won't listen to all the way through to get to the end here, so he won't hear this. He told my wife that he and his girlfriend went out and bought a bidet.
Really?
You know what a bidet is?
Well, sure.
Yeah, you're a man of the world. You've been to
a lot
Europe.
of time in France, yeah.
Yeah, and they have bidets in the restroom, and it's like for squirting water up your ass or whatever. Keep it clean down there for women especially. And he said he and his girlfriend went out and bought a bidet, or they bought it on Amazon or something. And I said, at first I didn't know how to. When my wife told me this, I go, what do they want a bidet for? This is not, Paris. They're not Parisian. They don't need to be cleaning out down there. And they want a bidet for some reason. And I said, how do you hook it up? I mean, bidets have to have water running through them. It's not like you plug in a bidet and it starts working.
No,
you have to have a water source.
Hook them up just like a toilet.
That's what I mean. He's not hooking anything up like a toilet. He doesn't even know how to hook anything up.
So did they take their toilet out and install the
No,
bidet?
they're adding a bidet somehow, and they bought it. Maybe I was thinking there must be a way to run a water line, like from the toilet up to the bidet. It's a separate thing. It's a separate little toilet. Oh, whatever. Anyways, this is further, I will bring this up later when I actually have him send me a picture of it so that I can share it with everybody. He's got to be the only American male in Georgia, in Savannah, Georgia, that has a bidet in the bathroom.
I'm just dying to know where that urge came from.
I don't know. There was a whole story about their toilet wasn't working right and this and that, and they went and bought a bidet. Honestly, I don't know if he knows what a bidet is till he gets it home, and then he's going to be like, "What?
Yeah.
What do I do with this thing? It looks like a drinking fountain." All right, everybody. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Guys, have a good weekend. Mike, you have a good weekend.
I shall do the same.
Your hair needs a little trim, though, I think.
You know what? It's getting a little long.
Have Mary again. Have Mary videotape you doing that, and I want that, and we'll put it right on the show, and I can critique your technique.
I'm telling you, it'll be a sensation. Men my age all over the world will be going out and buying razors because they see how easy it is to do.
You're not doing that with a razor. You're doing it with a thing.
Electric razor.
Oh, electric razor.
Yeah,
I thought you meant a straight razor.
Oh, God, no. That's it.
All right, adios. See you down the
Take
trail.
care.
Bye.
That was good.